Hello, and welcome to our Backyard Vineyard Project. We are in the process of building the Gavilan Hills Vineyard here at Paradise Ranch. This video series will document our project from planning and prep to harvest and bottling and everything in between. It'll include all of our triumphs, our disappointments, our joys, and our sorrows. We hope you will join us on our 5-year mission to produce quality grapes and a perfect bottle of wine from the Gavilan Hills Vineyard. Please click and subscribe below and join us on our adventure. So in the last part of this video, I want to talk about the vineyard itself. And we'll do a short walkabout and look at where this vineyard is going to be. We're not going to have a typical vineyard with nice, neat rows and evenly spaced. Most of the vines are going to be on a slope and on a hill, as you can see up behind me. So with that, we're not going to have any mechanical help. There won't be any tractors getting there, no lawnmowers. All of this is going to be by hand. And it's going to take some time to set this up. So we're starting that now. The vines we're getting, or the rootstock we're getting, is set to be delivered the late part of March 2022. That gives us about 4 months. We're receiving 200 vines at that time. We're going to get 100 Grenache and 100 Cabernet Sauvignon. So on a root, by the way, it's on a rootstock of 1103P. Now, based on the research I've done, the recommendations I got from the supplier, talking to the local growers and some of the vineyards down in Temecula especially, they claim that Grenache and Cabernet Sauvignon are the easiest grapes to grow for somebody who's just starting out. They're a lot more forgiving in the kind of soil we have and the type of environment. The soil we have here is very rocky, sandy DG. So a lot of the videos you see, they always talk about being very fertile or very aggressive growing plants because of the ground they have. Here we're not going to have that. We've got rocks, sand, DG, and dry. So we're breaking this up into 3 different sections. I'm going to have section 1, section 2, and section 3. And I'll walk through all 3 of them. The orientation on them are going to be east to west behind me, somewhat east to west on section 2, and then north and south on section 3. The spacing is going to be about 5 feet between the rows, because that's all we need on this type of environment, since we're not going to have to worry about tractors getting in between them. We'll put 5 feet on the rows, but then the vines will be 6 feet apart. We're going to be using the California crawl or the VSP or the mid-wire cordon training. So with that, 6 feet is going to be perfect for us in the type of environment we have, because the plants are not going to be super aggressive in growing in this type of environment. And we're going to be going over that in the next video of laying out the vineyards here and the sections. So section 1, we're going to have about 75 vines, give or take. Most of them, about 60, will be on the hill behind me, and then we're going to go with another 15 or 18. I'm actually going to put them along the fence line and use the fence as part of my trellis system. Section 2 will be behind the area where we do a lot of our events. So that's going to be orientated north, south, east, west. In between that, be 25 to 30 vines in that area with the same type of spacing. And then the last grouping, probably about 100 vines, will be 2 rows, 3 rows, because we're going to be using the fence again over on that side to go up the hill on the back side. Luckily, we've got irrigation and water in both of those areas already. So we're not going to have to do a lot of work with setting up the irrigation except just installing it. And the nice thing is it's going to be all in one controller, and we're going to cover that in a later video as well. Simon's walking by, you probably can't see him. Hello, Simon, say hi to everybody. He's funny. And then the last thing, our Pest. Now, Simon, our little turtle, will not be a pest for this. He can't get to the vines. But we have rabbits. Lots of rabbits. Coyotes kind of control the rabbits from the hills, but we've got rabbits all over the place, and we see proof of it every night. So all of the first year plantings are going to be put into cartons so we can protect those for the first year, probably into the second year, depending on how they grow. We also have a problem with gophers. Not too much. The first couple years we were here, we had a problem. I've been able to control them somewhat by using some passive and aggressive deterrents. And we'll talk about those later in later videos. And the last thing, you hear this from a lot of the videos, they have problems with birds. We have birds here, but I don't think I'm going to have a problem with birds. We have lots of crows, hawks, even an eagle or two up there on that hill. But I'm not sure I'm going to have a problem with birds, but that's something we'll deal with later. So how about if we do a little walkabout and look at these different sections that we're going to be planting on. So this is the west side of section 1. It's a pretty steep hill, and you can see the flags that I was kind of marking out the sections right now. I'm also going to put vines up on the fence up there in between each post. The hills are also covered with a lot of mulch. Obviously this is for looks to keep the weeds down, and we're going to reuse the mulch as we go through planting on this particular section of the hill. So this is we're on the east side of section 1, and you can see the hill is going to be pretty sloped. The vines will also be on the fence in the back up there. I'm going to put it in between each one of the posts coming up. I'll put one vine in each section of the post as we go up. You can kind of see from the background up there on the hill, this hill is one giant rock. So this whole section right through here has tons of rocks, sand, primarily DG type of environment. So this is going to be a challenge. Number one, to get holes dug, and number two, to keep it moist and keep the vines growing. As we move around from the end of section 1, this is the front fence of the property that wraps around the entire front of the house down to the driveway. What we're going to do is we're going to put vines, about 15 vines in between, or 18 vines in between each one of the posts, all the way up here to this palm tree. And that one's going to be a challenge for watering and getting the plants to grow, only because I'm not going to put any, at this point right now, I'm not going to put any irrigation on these vines growing on the hill. They're going to get all of their nourishment from the grass. Since we water the grass 12 months out of the year, there should be enough water, and I've checked the soil. The soil is pretty wet over there. So that's going to be an interesting experiment on the side of this hill with the grass only. Now this is section 2. You may have seen that in the earlier video when we had the chairs set up for the wedding. Section 2 is going to go from the walkway up to the gazebo, around the waterfall, and to that tree right there in that section. So in this section right here, I'm hoping to put in about 25 to 30 vines going up the side of the hill, so that as you stand here, all you see are the vines going all the way up and wrapping around the gazebo on the top of the hill. So irrigation is pretty easy. It's going to come from over on the right hand side. Getting up on this hill is really full of sand. There's lots of sand, and as you can see, there's rocks everywhere. So I'm hoping this section is going to be pretty easy to maintain and take care of. But we'll see as we go through this. Now this is section 3. The orientation on it's going to be north-south. It's going to run right on both sides of the trees, all the way up to the back fence, and then come and also go along this fence line here. So we're going to have 3 rows, each one with about 30 plants in it or so, going from right here on the right hand side up on the other side of that, those trees going up the hill. Now notice those trees do some shading. I'm hoping this isn't going to be a big issue, because the grapes will get half the day will be full of sun. So I'm assuming that these trees aren't going to do too much damage to the grapes as they're trying to grow. I'm also going to cut them back a bit. Right now they're cut up to about 7 feet, as you can see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut those trees up to about 9 feet, cut all the leaves out of them up to about 9 feet, which should give me more room down below for the sun and for air to come through. So we're going to be putting in vines right there as well. On a side note, notice the walkway here. When we moved in, they already had the brackets in place in the ground here for a gazebo or a trellis. So I'm going to build a trellis, which I'll videotape that later, and we'll try and have some vines grow up both sides of the trellis right here in that area. So that'll work out pretty good. Plus, there's going to be, this will be a continuation of section 3 by these palm trees. I'm probably going to put another 10 to 12 vines right here. Probably going to remove that hedge in the back too and put vines there. I think I'm going to have enough, because once we start separating these out and we get section 3 here in place, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have vines left over. Now the other thing I'm going to do is a claim that we have 10% will die is their claim. So I'm hoping to probably keep maybe 5-10 vines to use to replace the ones that die off, but we'll find that out later. Well, that's the end of this video. This is our first video, so like I said, bear with us. We're going to get better at this as we go along. As we go through and we start building our backyard vineyard, I hope you will follow along by subscribing down below. If you have any comments, please, by all means, let us know. And we hope to see you on the next video. This is Jeff, signing out. Until next time, goodbye. Oh my God. Turtle's touching my... Hold on. Would you stop? Stop. Go. Go. Get out of here.